A tentative deal may end the writer's strike in Hollywood. Our Kate Worsham breaks down the issues behind the 5-month walkout.
And it has been a year since Little Arabia has been officially recognized, but community members are still waiting on signs promised by the city. I'm Luis Avila reporting live from Anaheim. I'll have that story coming up.
And students at one Orange County College campus reacts to news of a tuition hike. All that and more just ahead.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Kevin Barr.
And I'm Avery Feldman. Our top story today, Hollywood writers may soon be going back to work. We're still waiting to learn the details of the tentative agreement recently reached in the writers' strike. Members of the Writers Guild have been on strike for 5 months, demanding concessions from the major studios. The walkout brought most productions to a halt and cost the industry and California economy billions of dollars. Chapman News reporter Kate Worsham has more.
Members of the Writers Guild of America Union were picketing outside of major studios like Paramount for 5 months, and in a show of solidarity, other segments of the industry joined them. But what exactly have they been fighting for? There are lots of reasons for the strike, and most of them have to do with basic workers' rights. Actor, director, and Chapman professor Socrates Alafouzos is passionate about the strike, and I sat down with him to know why everyone should be.
It's a survival issue like here. It's not only about that we are not. There's no logic behind the strike to have a decent living, to have health care, to support their families. That's all we ask for, and that's for everyone.
The issue of artificial intelligence has also been key in this strike, as a lot of writers are worried that their jobs could be replaced. Maya Klein, a Loyola Marymount University screenwriting major, talks about the effects that AI could have on her career.
It was scary because we were all like, if this is here and now, it's only going to get better and more intuitive.
As a senior, she says the labor dispute worries her and her classmates.
This can happen again and again, and we don't know how long it's going to go for. So it does make me nervous, and it definitely has me thinking of plan Bs and plan Cs just in case.
Since streaming has become the dominant production platform, many writers find it difficult to earn a living. Others have taken major pay cuts. The union says almost half of all WGA writers are now working for the minimum allocated pay. But the strike also represents what's going on in many other industries. Surveys say many Americans are worried that AI could leave them out of work or force them to settle for lower pay.
Especially that strike, I think it has to do with everyone because it's for the world that is emerging. And we have to decide, as I said, in what kind of world we want to live in. We have to use technology. It's necessary. It's very important, and we have to embrace it. But also we have to care about people.
Writers may be off the picket lines for now, but actors remain on strike, and the walkout has been costly. CNN reports that California and New York's economies have taken a $5 billion hit. I'm Kate Worsham, reporting for Chapman News.
Negotiations continue today in Congress to avoid a federal government shutdown that is now 4 days away. It seems an agreement on federal spending is not likely to happen before the deadline this Saturday. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has been unable to get a far-right faction of his Republican Party to support his spending proposal. McCarthy hopes to pass several stopgap measures that would keep the government open for an additional 30 days to give lawmakers more time to reach a deal. However, those extensions are unlikely to get the support of the hardline faction of House Republicans, making a shutdown likely. A shutdown means all federal agencies except those considered essential will close their doors. Most federal employees will be temporarily out of work. The last shutdown happened during the Trump administration and lasted for 35 days.
President Biden is joining United Auto Workers on the picket lines in Michigan today. This is the first time in history a sitting president has personally visited a picket line. He told the workers they deserve the significant raise they are seeking. The UAW has been on strike against the big three automakers for 12 days in 20 different states. The UAW wants a 40% raise over 4 years, a 32-hour work week, and guaranteed benefits. The workers also want job security as the industry transitions to electric vehicles over the next several years. Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have counteroffered with 20% raise. Tomorrow, former President Trump will be in Michigan to deliver a speech that will take place to union members. That will happen at the same time as the Republican presidential candidates debate here in Southern California.
The ongoing conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan is escalating. The New York Times is reporting today at least 125 people died in an explosion at a fuel depot in a breakaway region of Azerbaijan. That region is filled with thousands of ethnic Armenians trying to get to safety after a military offensive launched by the Azerbaijan last week. The Times reports long lines of Armenians are stuck in cars and buses because there is only one mountain road to the border. The two nations have been in conflict for decades, fueled by inter-ethnic hatred and allegations of atrocities. In other news, it's a controversial issue in school districts around the nation. And here in Orange County, there were protests as the Orange Unified School District Board recently considered a new transgender parental notification policy. The Orange School District has more than 25,000 students enrolled at 4 high schools, 29 elementary schools, and 5 middle schools. The new policy requires school staff to inform parents if their child under age 12 and requests to be addressed by a name or pronoun different from that assigned at birth. Supporters say the policy is in keeping with parents' rights, while opponents say it discriminates against transgender students. During the district board meeting, protesters from both sides demonstrated. Security escorted them out of the building. The policy was passed. Later, when 4 members voted to approve the measure, 3 others who were expected to vote no left the meeting before the vote, saying they did not feel safe.
It has been a year since Little Arabia was officially recognized by the city of Anaheim, but there are still no signs publicly acknowledging that designation.
Chapman News reporter Luis Avila is live from Little Arabia. Luis, how are the community members feeling about the lack of signage?
Community members are not happy about this delay. Good afternoon, Avery and Kevin. I am here at the stretch of Brooker Street that has been officially designated as Little Arabia in the city of Anaheim. It's the cultural center for Orange County's Arab American population. Now, as you mentioned, the city has yet to deliver signage that will publicly recognize this area. I spoke with local leaders about the importance of these signs for the community.
Nestled in the city of Anaheim, along Brooker Street, lies Little Arabia, a cultural destination made up of Arab restaurants, hookah cafes, and Islamic clothing and jewelry stores. However, those unfamiliar with the area can easily drive by without realizing it, because there is nothing that indicates where Little Arabia is.
But we don't see that on the map. We don't see that on the street. We don't see a sign.
Rashad Al-Dabag is the founder and executive director of the Arab American Civic Council, a grassroots organization based in Anaheim. The group wants to raise awareness of the Little Arabia district.
So if we have a sign, then that will give more exposure to the small businesses, to this community.
Rashad describes the OC Arab American community as one of resilience. In another example of unity, when Anaheim High School teacher Lena Mouse's Arabic language course was set to end this year due to a lack of funding and low enrollment, the community came together and saved the program.
With help and support with my community here, they helped me a lot just to send the messages and emails to the district. And now the district are aware that it's very important, it's very essential.
Lena says she wants to help educate people about her culture and says signs recognizing Little Arabia are important for community members.
To have signs around in the Little Arabia makes me, as an Arab American citizen, feel more connected to my culture and my identity and feel proud of my culture.
City Council member Carlos Leon told the Voice of OC that the city is still working on determining the cost and placement of the signs, but in the meantime, he says the city is also conducting a study to determine how to best help businesses in Little Arabia. But Rashad and Lena say they should have the signs sooner. They say they will not stop pushing because Little Arabia is so important to their community.
It's a place that brings people together. It's a place that unifies people. That's why we love this place.
Now, according to the Voice of OC, the city is expected to conduct that survey in December. I contacted the city, but did not receive a response back. Reporting live from Little Arabia in the city of Anaheim, I'm Luis Avila for Chapman News. Back to you in the studio.
Coming up,
we preview the Republican presidential debate taking place here in Southern California tomorrow. A Chapman University political science expert joins us live in the studio to talk about the candidates. That's next. Stay tuned.
I'm Tegan Callie. Coming up, an update on Tropical Storm Ophelia and your local Chapman forecast.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
Elmo loves you. I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
the second debate among Republican presidential candidates is set for tomorrow night at the Reagan Library here in Southern California. And just like the first debate last month, frontrunner former President Trump will not be there.
Joining us live in the studio to discuss the debate and the upcoming Republican State Convention happening in Anaheim this week, Dr. John Compton, chair of the Political Science Department here at Chapman University.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Dr. Compton, what's the impact of former President Trump skipping the debates?
It's hard to say. I mean, he's clearly the front runner in the polls. You know, I think from his strategic perspective, he thinks by skipping the debate, he avoids the possibility that he somehow stumbles and creates an opening for Governor DeSantis or one of his competitors. So I think that's what he's thinking. On the other side of the coin, if you're, a Republican voter right now, I think it would probably be nice to hear from all the candidates together. But that's apparently not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And with Trump averaging a 40-point lead over his closest competitor, like you said, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, what are the chances any other candidate could take the Republican nomination from him?
I think we still have a long way to go before the nomination is decided. I wouldn't put too much stock in polling right now. Clearly, Trump has a very strong following with the Republican base. But, there are some early states where his polling is not quite as good. If he were to stumble in New Hampshire, for example, you might see some of his support start to unravel, particularly with all of the trials coming up that are going to be happening around the same time as the primary season. So, I mean, while he's clearly the front runner, I don't think you can say that he's locked up the nomination at this point.
Right. Well, assuming he does lock the nomination up, there's been recent polls that show Trump is tied with or even slightly above President Biden. How worried should Democrats be?
I mean, if you're Democrats, I think those polls are legitimately troubling. But at the same time, I think, if it's too early to put much stock in primary and caucus polls, it's way too early to put much stock in general election polls when we're, well over a year out. And I think when voters are faced with, a head-to-head choice between Trump and Biden, Biden's poll numbers might look a little better when we're getting closer to actually casting ballots rather than just sort of speculating, because you may be getting people at this point who are Democrats just maybe expressing some unease about Biden's age or maybe wishing someone else would jump in the race. But when these people are faced with a head-to-head choice, you have to think they're probably going to come home to the Democratic Party.
And polls show that voters of all political affiliations are concerned about age, as you just said, of both Biden and Trump. Why has neither party been able to produce a younger candidate capable of getting a widespread party support?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think in Trump's case, he really does have just such a strong hold over the base right now. And, he goes to great lengths to try to portray himself as vigorous and not as old as his actual age. The Democratic case is a little harder to explain, but I do think, there's a huge incumbency advantage, and if the incumbent president doesn't want to step down, it's very hard for challengers to throw their hat in the ring because you're probably endangering your future political career if you're trying to take down the incumbent president of your own party. So I think the time for Biden to step aside, if he were going to do that, was probably 6 months to a year ago. So it's getting very late in the game for anything to change at this point.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Chapman University professor Dr. John Compton, for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you.
The Indian Space Research Organization continues to try and wake up 2 robots that landed on the moon last month. A few weeks ago, India became the 4th country to successfully land on the moon with the Chandrayaan-3 mission, but the Vikram lander in the Pragyan rover did not wake up this past Friday at sunrise as planned. Both the lander and the rover completed all tasks from their first assignment, which included measuring the temperature of the moon's surface, finding elements in rocks, and determining if any water exists on the moon's surface. India's leaders say even if they don't wake up, the mission is still a success. Pole region up close.
Nationwide, there has been a rise in smash and grabs over the past 2 years. As shown here in footage from NBC, these occur when robbers quickly arrive, smash display cases or grab items off of shelves, and leave with the stolen merchandise. High-end and major retail stores are often targeted in this organized theft. Orange City Lieutenant Phil McMullen says Orange is not a major target of smash and grabs, but supports nearby cities of Anaheim, Santa Ana, and Garden Grove.
We'll put undercover officers out there. We'll put marked units. We'll put extra security cameras out there. And we've gone into the businesses to do trainings.
Lieutenant McMullen says in case of this emergency, call the police immediately and do not confront the shoplifter. Provide the police officer with video footage or license plate number if known. To address the issue here in California, the Board of State and Community Corrections will create new investigative units and train officers at 55 different law agencies. The City of Orange is not one of the cities to receive the grant.
Hundreds of residents at the La Vida Monterey condos here in Orange finally have their gas service restored after 3 months without it. SoCal Gas pressure tested the new gas pipes recently, which restored gas to all buildings in the community for the first time since early June. The Homeowners Association has faced criticism over its handling of the situation.
The fact that our gas pipes have not been repiped in 51 years and that we have had to do so under emergency circumstances is deadly serious business.
In an email to Chapman News, City of Orange Council member John Dumitriu says roughly 600 residents lost their gas because the HOA failed to maintain gas lines at the property. During the outage, residents were forced to use hot plates to cook and a community pool to shower.
Kevin, did you hear about the storm on the East Coast?
I did. My family up and down the East Coast were battening down the hatches. Tegan Callie will tell us more about the storm and other weather news.
That's right. The eastern seaboard is still drying out today after getting drenched over the weekend by Tropical Storm Ophelia. Even though the storm had weakened significantly by the time it made it to the northeast, that doesn't mean that it didn't bring heavy rain and flooding from North Carolina all the way up to Connecticut. The system is largely gone now, but the hurricane season continues. There are 3 new systems developing in the Atlantic. We will watch out for Tropical Storm Philippe, which has a chance of curving west of Bermuda and hitting the East Coast. And now let's take a look at the local forecast here in Orange. It is 81 and sunny, a bit hot for the end of September, but a nice day for the beach. As for our national forecast, we will start out in the northwest where Seattle is expecting a high of 60. Moving down the coast, San Francisco is going to be 71 today. Looking over at my hometown of Las Vegas, we are seeing a high of 95 in Sin City. Very hot for this time of year, but we are used to much hotter. Denver's looking at 85. Austin, very hot today with a high of 96. Minneapolis, believe it or not, 15 degrees cooler today than it was last week with a high of 67. We're looking at a high of 70 for Chicago, 64 for Detroit. Moving down to the south, Atlanta and Miami, very humid there today and hot with a high of 85 and 87 respectively. Washington, D.C., believe it or not, actually 20 degrees cooler than it was last week, now with a high of 62, and New York with a high of 61. Zooming on into Orange County, Westminster has a high of 79. Moving down the coast, Newport Beach and Laguna Beach looking at 75, 77. You can thank that sea breeze for that. San Clemente is looking at a high of 71 today, while Mission Viejo is looking like 82. Irvine has a high of 78, and hottest in Orange County is the beautiful city of Orange. Now, taking a look at the 5-day Fenestra forecast, today we're looking at a high of 83 and a low of 59 and sunny. Tomorrow we're looking at a high of 85 and also sunny. Now, Thursday it's going to start finally getting a little bit cooler with a high of 80, still sunny. Friday, a little bit cooler again. Sunny with a high of 77, low of 61, and then finally Saturday it's going to cool off with a chance of rain in the morning and then clouds for the rest of the day, high of 70, low of 60. That's all I have for you guys. Back to the desk.
I'm Bella Leach, and coming up I'll have your update on all things college football, NHL preseason, and more on the Best Campus Sports Show. Stay tuned.
What do we do? You may not be able to plan ahead for a ghost encounter.
Under the dining table now!
But you can plan ahead for natural disasters. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts.
Maybe it's the apocalypse.
Know your evacuation routes and decide on a safe emergency meeting location.
Here? I know. What a big Orlando.
Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. So pass the Proton Pack to the next generation and visit ready.gov/plan to get started.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five. They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Students at Cal State Fullerton here in Orange County are reacting to a 6% tuition hike. Chapman News reporter Sophia Costa has the story.
The California State University Board says the increase is needed to close a $1.5 billion deficit. The increase will be effective starting fall of next year and will continue through the 2028-2029 school year.
We've only had one increase in tuition in 12 years. That's not a model, that's not a business model that's going to work long term. It's just not sustainable.
The cost for full-time undergraduate students will increase almost $350 a semester.
I understand that it's because of the inflation costs and everything's really going up in prices and the economy is really bad right now, but it's not fair for campuses to take that out on students, but rather push donations from either alumni or executives that have the resources to actually put into the university rather than take it out on the students.
While some trustees were hesitant to vote in favor of the increase, officials say that the increase is necessary to continue to provide students with financial aid and academic programs. Some students had the same mixed reaction.
In the beginning, I was very upset. I think as many students would be, that there is a tuition increase because obviously that's going to affect a lot of our lower income students and people who depend on FAFSA. But on the other side, I think that, seeing where that money could go, there also could be a lot of benefits to that. I think it's just like I said, a very tricky situation either way.
There are 460,000 students attending California state universities. 60% of those students have their tuition costs fully covered by financial aid. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Sophia Costa.
The writer strike has led to a lack of new content this fall, but one group of Chapman students has you covered. Survivor Chapman, a spin on the CBS hit show Survivor, follows 16 Chapman students as they form alliances and take on challenges. The student-produced series promises drama as the group votes someone out weekly until only one contestant remains. Executive producer and host Brady Grustis teases what viewers can expect to see this season.
They're wonderful people, and yeah, they're very entertaining. So expect some conniving, expect some big characters, expect maybe some outbursts even. Who knows? You'll have to watch.
If you missed the first 2 episodes, you can catch up before next Monday's episode on Survivor Chapman's YouTube channel.
Orange County's largest city is getting a new look. Anaheim is in the early stages of developing the OC Riverwalk, which will be located near the Honda Center. The Riverwalk is part of the OC Vibe Project, a $4 billion privately funded development project that will feature apartments, recreational spaces, entertainment, and offices. The Riverwalk will include 2 new bridges. The first is a 350-foot span with a pedestrian and cyclist pathway, connecting the cities of Anaheim and Orange. A second bridge spanning 150 feet will cross Catella Avenue with a link between the Arctic Transportation Center and the Honda Center. The 2 bridges will be built within the next year, while the overall OC Vibe project is set to be completed by 2028. Here off campus, residents are finding new ways to stay active. Hangar 18, a climbing gym, is best known for their outdoor bouldering. The sport of indoor bouldering was first introduced in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics and has been gaining popularity ever since. It is a form of rock climbing with no harness or rope involved. There is a crash pad. Unlike running and other cardio-based sports, bouldering is a full-body workout, which requires pulling and pushing. According to an article published in Time magazine, studies find that climbing can help reduce symptoms of depression and increase mindfulness and attention. Kevin, did you go to the Chapman football game on Saturday night?
Unfortunately, I missed it, but I know Bella Leach can tell us about that game and other sports news.
Thanks, Kevin and Avery. I'm Bella Leach, and welcome to the Best Campus Sports Show. Fall is officially here, and that means it's college football season. Chapman football dropped its league opener and homecoming game against the University of Redlands on Saturday in a 38-21 loss. Despite a strong start and a late second quarter touchdown by Gio Ursino to briefly put the Panthers ahead, Redlands tied it with just seconds left in the first half. Coming out of halftime, the Redlands defense kept the Panthers out of the end zone while their offense added to the scoreboard. Chapman looks to improve their 0-2 record next Saturday as they hit the road for a Cal Lutheran matchup. Jumping from the SCIAC to the Pac-12, OC Register reporter Luca Evans, who covers USC sports and is a Chapman News alum, is back writing about the Trojans after a brief suspension imposed by the football team. Evans' access to the team was suspended after head coach Lincoln Riley said Evans had violated the team's media policy. Several sports media members came to Evans' defense. Riley and Evans ended up having a phone conversation, which led to the lifting of the suspension. After that talk, Evans posted on Twitter. Riley made it clear his intent to protect his players. I made it clear my intent has always been to tell compelling, honest stories on USC. I respect and understand the program's outlined media access policies. Now on to my other favorite part of fall, hockey is back. The Ducks are in San Jose today to continue their 8-game preseason schedule. NHL preseason tipped off this past Sunday at the Honda Center as the Ducks took on their Freeway rivals, the LA Kings. Jackson Lacombe, one of the Ducks' rookies, scored 2 goals, one to tie it and the next to cap a 3-2 overtime win. I cannot think of a better way to kick off preseason unless you're the Kings. A big moment for women's soccer, Megan Rapinoe, a leader on and off the field, played her final international game on Sunday in the USWNT's friendly against South Africa. Rapinoe has won many titles, but her impact goes further. As an advocate for equality, she helped achieve the U.S. Soccer Equal Pay Agreement. Rapinoe addressed her 17-year run with the Team USA after the match.
It has been such an honor to be able to wear this shirt and to play with all these amazing players and to just live out my childhood dream.
Congratulations to Megan Rapinoe on a great career with the USWNT. She will officially hang up her boots later this year with NWSL team OL Reign. Unfortunately, like the MLB pitch clock, this segment is too short. Thanks for watching. For Chapman News, I'm Bella Leach.
I'm Tess Martinelli, and when we come back, we'll be exploring the ethics of travel to Maui following the fires and how to approach your next vacation.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
You may not be able to plan ahead for a ghost encounter,
Under the dining table now!
but you can plan ahead for natural disasters. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts.
Maybe it's the apocalypse.
Know your evacuation routes and decide on a safe emergency meeting location.
Here? I know. What a pick Orlando.
Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. So pass the Proton Pack to the next generation and visit ready.gov/plan to get started.
Goodwill is expanding here in Orange County. In Anaheim, Goodwill has added more than 24,000 square feet to its store. The project marks the start of a 10-year expansion plan for Goodwill. The nonprofit says the goal is to bring its services to more people, but also to provide job opportunities and training for veterans and individuals with disabilities.
This is one of our biggest, largest store in Orange County. We have a little bit of everything, good bargains, and I'm so excited. I can't believe how Goodwill is growing.
Another store is set to open in the city of Orange soon. For now, residents can visit the store and donate in Anaheim on North Brookhurst Street and West Crescent Avenue. Gas prices continue to rise in Southern California as the average price surpasses $5 per gallon. Prices at the pump are now the highest they have been since early November of last year. According to AAA, California currently has the most expensive gas in the country, with the average price currently sitting at $5.60 per gallon. That is almost $2 more per gallon than the national average. There is no sign of prices lowering anytime soon, as a large amount of unscheduled maintenance at regional refineries is currently plaguing the gas industry. In Hawaii, Maui residents continue to struggle after deadly and devastating wildfires in early August.
Although the fires have been successfully contained, the island is facing new problems as tourism rates plummet and the economy suffers. Chapman News reporter Tess Martinelli is here in the studio with the latest.
Thank you, Avery and Kevin. Some Maui residents are now urging visitors to return to the island, while others are hesitant to have tourists back because of the devastated landscape. But all sides agree. Potential tourists need to engage in what is known as responsible tourism. According to a 2019 report by the Hawaiian Tourism Authority, visitor spending in Maui averaged $14 million per day. But since the devastating fires that swept across the island, Maui has lost $1 million each day, wreaking devastating consequences to the island's economy. Riley Kuhn, who is a third-generation captain for Trilogy excursions on Maui, has experienced the fallout firsthand.
In the month of August, we refunded over $1 million of bookings of business that perhaps we could have had. And that is continuing to last.
Locals like Riley have begun encouraging tourists to return and engage in responsible tourism, which is visitation that focuses on the economic, social, and environmental benefits of the local people.
Empathetic visitors who appreciate Hawaii, who do some research before they come here, look up the history.
Kuhn even notes the importance of visiting the parts of Western Maui that were most affected.
You're going to see some things. Shed a tear. Like, have a moment as you're driving through. Like, I think it's totally okay to see that and recognize a sobering thing that happened to our town, you know, but keep driving. Definitely don't take a picture.
While tourism is a necessity to the county's economy, some Maui natives like Lauren Kalama recommend alternatives to visitation.
I mean, a lot of places have like online like websites, donation sites, and even just learning more about the culture.
While opinions on tourism do vary, the principles of responsible tourism can be applied to all Maui recovery efforts. Governor Green has just announced that non-essential travel to Western Maui will be open on October 8th. I'm Tess Martinelli reporting for Chapman News.
That's it for this edition of Chapman News. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at chapmannews.tv and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Kevin Barr.
And I'm Avery Feldman. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on another episode of Chapman News.